I'm John Young, your host, and tonight I am joined by the one and only KoKoruz from Chicago, Illinois. Good
What's up? What's up? What's up?
It's a beautiful day in the world, and tonight we're going to talk about, this is one of the discussions.
We're talking about black bears in your backyard.
I will. That's for those of you who follow my Facebook page, that's what you saw. But for the DJ side of it, we're going to talk about a topic with offices and home businesses that this discussion this has probably gone through 3 different generations of this discussion. Certainly 5 years and 10 years ago, we'd have had one discussion. Last year, we'd have had one discussion. And when the COVID thing struck, there would be it's like there's things that have changed this discussion slightly over the last few years. So it'll be interesting tonight to kind of dig into this. So for those of you who are getting started in a DJ business and you're thinking,
and photo booth or wedding or small business.
Any small business.
Right.
If you're debating about if you should be out of the house or if you should be renting space, we're going to talk about that because Casey has been involved with the having office space and doing a lot of business consulting and talking with people. And of course, I've been kind of on the other side where we have built office space here at our on our little 5-acre campus, whatever you want to call it. So
I believe it's called the estate.
The estate. Yeah.
When you have 5 acres like that, it's the palatial estate. It's the young ranch.
I was going to say the ranch, but that the only thing close to a ranch I have is a garden.
Okay.
And that works for me.
Very good.
Except the bear come in and eat all my stuff. But that's another story for another day. So let's jump back. 10 to 15 years ago, Casey, if you were getting into the wedding business at that time, what would your recommendations have been if somebody came and said, "Hey, should I work out of the house or do I need an office?"
Well, let me go even further back, just for my personal, because I didn't have a choice. My parents never let me work out of the house. So when I started my first company in 1990, I was fortunate enough. I was living in my grandmother's home who had passed away, and my mother and my uncle were trying to figure out what to do. So for about the first 6 months of me having my DJ company, I did work out of my house there. And then they sold the house, and I wound up going into my first office, which was an 8x10 room with my equipment piled up on one wall and a phone line and a desk from an old desk from my dad's machine shop on the other. And I would literally sit there, because back in those days, it was an answering machine. And I mean, I would sit there with a little 5-inch black and white portable TV and literally wait for the phone to ring. Because by then I had placed ads in the yellow pages that cost a fortune, and you had to be there to answer the phones. Now, the reason I say that's not to bring you down memory lane, but I think to a degree we are where we come from and where we're comfortable. I never really had the option of working out of my home. And as I had been forced to separate church from state, so to speak, I grew to appreciate it that much more. When I go into the office, I do have a lot of creature comforts here. I have cable television here because I do work a lot of late nights. I have one of those modular confection ovens. I've got, a refrigerator. I've got, you can see over my shoulder, I've got a bar back there and everything. So I'm super comfortable here because I choose to work, especially now during COVID. I'm working like 60, 80 hours a week on the various projects I have for the various businesses that I own. And because of the fact that we are on very limited staffing, I'm the guy answering the phones, returning the emails, forwarding things to people working from home. But I'm the guy here getting the mail every day and kind of going from there. So,
Casey, what year did you start then? Your first that you had that first office at 8x10?
I gave my notice to Mobile Music February 1st, 1990. And I'm going to say my first office, I probably moved into that summer. So it was whatever. It was an 8x10 room. I paid $150 a month for the office. It was a complete dump. It was a dump.
Yeah.
But I needed some place to go. And it just forced me that was it. Now I was part-time back then. And again, I had no place to store my equipment because my parents had the rule of church and state. And back then there were no really renting garages to put gear in or what have you. There weren't cell phones, and it just was what it was. So you are where you come from. Now I think there are so many affordable options to allow small business owners a couple of things. One, I primarily work from my laptop. However, sitting at the desk that I'm sitting in right now with the same laptop, okay, I am more productive at my office than I am at home.
Sure.
And it's the same thing for me in college. I used to go to the art building when I was an architecture major. So I would go to the art building to work, and I would go to the library to study, because maybe just from a discipline point of view, in the fraternity house, there was always distractions. In my own home, there are distractions, and I live alone. So I don't have kids. I don't have a dog. I don't have the typical responsibilities. The townhouse that I've been in takes care of everything. So like, I don't have the chores and the things that most homeowners have. So as a result of that, I don't have any of that stuff.
And I do like that that statement you made, that separation between home and business.
Yeah,
that is probably one of the biggest drawbacks that Lori and I, as two that work out of the house and have our office space, even though I do a lot of my work out here.
Sure.
Still situations where it's like, oh, you know what, I need to go out and instead of sitting down with the kids and playing a game or something, it's like, I can just go out and do that right now at 8:30 at night or 8 at night, and
right.
It's 10 o'clock and the kids have to be on their way to bed. So that's probably of the drawbacks. That was the major drawback, and now there's some financial drawbacks that people have run into. But that was a big one for us.
But you know what? Again, I believe in branding and image, and you can go into a million shared office suites where you could even rent a beautiful conference room by the hour to give that gorgeous presentation. There's tons of shared office facilities, and you can keep all your equipment in a rent-a garage, so that if you're in a condo, or if you've got young kids and you don't want them climbing all over stuff, where you have limited space, you can keep your life very, very well organized, very inexpensively. But now you are taking on the commitment and the responsibility of overhead. Okay. And again, I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing, to be honest with you. I have a bunch of DJ friends right now who, in my opinion, aren't working nearly as hard as they used to. And part of it they're blaming on COVID, but I think part of it is they're working out of their home, they're collecting unemployment, and it's easy. Okay. Whereas for me, I have 6,000 square feet, and I have electric, and I have gas, and I have internet, and I've got, my overhead's about 6,000 a month. So like, I have to put out 6,000 a month just to be around and be alive and be in business. And so for a lot of people, that they're grabbing their chest right now, or they're calling me stupid, and they're saying there's no reason for it. But at the same point in time during COVID, we have 6,000 square feet, but we probably have about an 800 square foot showroom. And for those that don't know me, I own a DJ entertainment company, a photography studio, a floral decor company. I own a cart catering business with those cute little hot dog carts and popcorn carts and things like that. And so our showroom kind of encapsulates visualizations of all of them. And our goal is that when somebody walks in, they get that wow factor. And so we've got tablescapes, and our DJ booth is set up, and our photo booth, and different things, so that, again, people kind of have that wow factor. And that's what we're going for. And that's it. So again, it's a little bit tougher now with COVID because we're not getting as many people in, but we are still getting people in.
So is there a way, if a person wanted to be able to achieve a wow factor, like what you have when people walk in and see these things, is there a way that somebody can do that with a home-based business or a home-based office? I mean, how would you be able to do that?
Well, again, I think that you have to be disciplined to say, at least Monday through Friday, my converted basement and family room is not, if you have a family, it is not a kid's playroom. Your significant other's not doing arts and crafts, whatever it is, like that is your office. You go down there, you close the door, and you are at your office. Okay. And I think it's a different mentality, but, even, we were talking before we went on air, I was talking about where to go and get dinner after this, mm-hmm. right? If I was at home, I would have just said, John, I'll be right back. I'm going to the fridge. Like, I know that in my fridge here at the office, I don't have anything. So once we're off the air, I'm going to go run and grab a bite. And I've been here since 8 o'clock this morning, something along those lines. And that's that. So I just, when I'm at work, I'm in work mode. That's what I'm focused on. And, we've got snacks, and I've got a client refrigerator here with beer, pop, soda. I've got my Keurig coffee machine. So I've got all of that stuff, but I'm just not distracted by other stuff. I'm not hearing the dishwasher running. I'm not throwing a load of laundry in. I'm at work, and I'm focused on work. And I'm not judging anybody who works out of their home, but I've just always been that guy that's disciplined that goes to work. And I think that I'm far more productive here at work.
Yeah, and Casey, we just okay, we're back. We must have had an electricity. The electric went out for a second.
See, that doesn't happen at work, only at home.
No, I just found out that my microphone is not plugged into my battery backup.
Oh, gotcha.
So for those of you who missed that, apologize for that. Casey was just giving you the he does have a time machine. He just went ahead into the future, looked at tomorrow's lottery numbers for the big drawing. So that was.
I'll be leaving the DJ business on Wednesday
after the big win. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about client meeting. That's
sure.
One of the big arguments that a lot of DJs, especially in that you mentioned the early 90s when you got your office, we spent some time in that early to mid 90s. We went looking for space. We went looking at different communities, small town, medium town, or some of the larger towns for us in the area to see what we could do. And we found some spaces and really came down to storage capability, which obviously we need as mobile entertainers.
Sure.
And then it became, can we use it for client meetings? And I'll come back to that now. But from your perspective, how important is that office? Was it more important at one time? Is it still important to have it so you can have clients come in and talk and meet?
Again, part of it is business design. For me, it's still important. And I have this all the time. I have a friend in Columbus, Ohio, who has an office that he can't stand going to, so he only uses it for client meetings, and then he works from his house, and that's it. And it's just, I'm not judging anybody. Some people like Coke, some people like Pepsi. One way's not right, one way's not wrong. But for me, people know we have regularly scheduled office hours here, and especially because I've got the various businesses here, I can have the mother of a bride drop something off for the flower shop, for the floral decor. And even if a DJ's here, a photographer's here, someone's here to take it. I believe there's a comfort to a client knowing that they can come to our office. It's published on our website that they can come to at any given time, and they know there's going to be somebody here, that they've got an office to go to. It goes back to the old adage that, would you go see a doctor in his house? Would you trust somebody with your money, handing them, your paycheck if you went to their condo? It just, that's the way it is. And I feel even more strongly about it with today doing coffee house sales, whether you're at a Starbucks or a Panera or a Jamba Juice or what have you. And I realize it's become somewhat the norm pre-COVID. But again, for me, I have the beautiful office that, yes, I'm paying for, but even having the limited number of clients that I'm having, I can invite them in. I've got their undivided attention. They walk into a showroom that has our full DJ setup with a facade and movers and flat screen TVs, and it's uplit, and there's a Lico showing monogram projection, and I have I'd say it's like a 4x6 screen on the wall with a projector hung from the top of it, and it's or from the ceiling, projecting a demo video. So I'm trying to sell our company based on the professionalism of our office, and I don't think you could achieve that very well. Maybe as an independent you could, but as a multi-op, I think consistently meeting at a Panera or a local restaurant or a bar isn't going to quite give you that same feeling. So
sure, I can see that.
Yeah.
Especially as that we have a variety of different entertainers. We have a variety of different entertainment options. It definitely makes some sense. In our situation, we started looking, we identified a couple of different spaces, one in St. Cloud, one in Alexandria. Then we started going through and looking at where our events were coming from.
Right.
In our head, it seemed like these were the two towns we were doing most of our business. We started looking at where we were doing shows and where the people were coming from that were hiring us, finding out that they were coming from sometimes 2 hours away, but coming back because that was where mom and dad, where they grew up.
Sure.
So it really became a question of, would we be using these space for client meetings? And in our case, because of covering such a large area, we started asking and saying, hey, would it have been more convenient for you to meet in Alexandria as an example? Because that was our preferred one, because we could get the space to store, and we could get a 20 by 20 or whatever it was for a couple of desks and things. And that was like $300 a month. It was great deal. Not many people of our past clients said that they would have even been interested in meeting. They saw me at a bridal show, and that was pretty much it. After that, they're like, yeah, we just do everything via phone type of thing.
Well, and now with Zoom meetings, I mean, Zoom's the new norm. So I think you could do that pretty easily. Whereas I think people right now are really tired of Zoom meetings. And I think a lot of it has to do with the world is, summer's here and the weather's nice. So I think, when this all started, everyone discovered Zoom, the novice. I mean, even my mother on Easter, we played bingo via Zoom with the family and such. And so it worked out great. So from that aspect of work, my mom's 72 and all of her girlfriends from nurses training, they did a Zoom meeting as well, just to catch up, because they normally meet every quarter for a luncheon of some kind or what have you. And because of COVID, they couldn't. So that's it. But if you're going to do Zoom, in my mind, you should really take advantage of the technology and have a PowerPoint ready so that at any given time you can show a client what I have in my showroom is what you want to be able to have as part of your consultation / presentation with, if you're a decor company, having the pictures of the LOVE letters. If you're a production company, showing what a nimbus looks like, what a monogram projection looks like, and all of that. For us, it's all right there, complete with the indoor cool spark sparklers. So, and that's the nice part. And that's why we also push it. We also started by building this place so that we could do meet and greets, so that once a month we could invite people in to actually not only see our place and see what we're all about, but we could also have them meet the DJs once a month, meet photographers, and have an experience like that. In fact, I was just thinking maybe because of the weather, not this year, but next year. And we've been here 5.5 years now, and it never dawned on me until this year about setting up a tent out in front of the place and having a bridal barbecue where we just make it fun, like a picnic. And, we have one of our hot dog carts out there, and we even jokingly put one of our outspoken DJs in a dunk tank and just make it fun. Or when the Ice Bucket Challenge happened, we actually got a dunk tank from a friend, filled it up with 2 55-gallon drums of ice that I got from a buddy's restaurant, and then filled the rest of it up. So it was like hardcore. And my business partner in the flower shop, Dina, put on a used wedding dress and got dunked in the dunk tank. But again, you can do this stuff at an office. You can't do this stuff at home.
No, not so.
And I mean, you could do it in your driveway, but we invited all the business neighbors in our park to come over, and we grilled hot dogs. And at the time, it was a nice meet and greet for everybody else, and it worked. So that's all. I mean, again, people love working in their house, and people love working in an office. For me, I think that I rise to the occasion with regard to I work better in my home. I mean, I work better at my office, and when I get home, I'm home. The other thing, when I was married, even my next door neighbor's brother had booked us for their wedding, and every time he was over and I was out cutting the grass, or I was this or I was that, he would like lean over the fence and say, "So when are we going to talk about our wedding?" Or what introduction songs we, and there was not the separation.
Mm-hmm.
So I like going home and being home, and I don't have to worry about a bride and groom dropping by, or a wedding couple, or UPS packages coming there. I like having everything to the office. I just, again, I like the separation, and I feel like I function better as a business professional in a business environment.
Sure.
That's all. But I don't judge, okay? Just because those that work out of their house are stupid. No, I'm just kidding. It's just different, and I accept it. And especially, let me tell you, like, I wish I didn't have the overhead, especially with what's going on in the world. I really, really do. So one of our banquet halls that referred us like crazy, they closed in March, and we found out today they're not reopening. But you could own that banquet hall with a starting bid auction of $2 million. So
I'll just get my change out of the back here.
I understand.
Facebook question here, or I should say a statement here. The person travels a lot. I can't see the name, so I can't refer. I'm so sorry about that. It just says Facebook user.
Okay.
They travel a lot, and their clients prefer to meet their spot of choice before COVID was coffee shops, to go into a coffee shop and hang out. And I suppose being a neutral place, that makes sense. I've had people make that thing before, because I don't want to go over to somebody's house and they don't want me to come over to their house, and everything. And then of course, before with somebody mentioned Zoom, if you're using the tools, those planning tools like DJ Event Planner out there, and you're using Zoom to do face-to-face, a lot of these tools in today's world, especially as more people have become used to using these tools, can change the dynamics of someone's office, especially as a single operator. Your statement about a multi entertainer company, we've got that's
or multiple photo booths, multiple photographers,
exactly.
What have you, different situation. I would challenge that person, the Facebook user who said they prefer that, because truthfully, if they're not given an option, I feel that we train our clients. And while we may lose a very small percentage, they go, I'm not willing to travel that far. I mean, I make it a point. My goal is to own a 10-mile radius of my office. Mm-hmm. So my goal is to be referred by every hotel, banquet hall, country club, golf course, raw space venue, or what have you, in a 10-mile radius. What happens 60 miles away from here, I don't care about, or even 40 miles away. I'll take those referrals if it's like a friend of a friend or what have you, or someone's brother. But by and large, I like to own my own backyard. I like to work in my own backyard. And that's where, again, I think a lot of DJs are reactive, or even small business owners are reactive as opposed to proactive. Mm-hmm. And I think ultimately in life, you need to decide what your business is going to be like. And I think too often small businesses react to what's going on, so... And part of that, too, comes from not necessarily having a business plan. I'm talking to a lot of DJs right now where they have nothing to pivot to. Like, they have no plan. They don't know. They're hoping like crazy that September they'll be DJing again.
Yep.
And if not, they have no plan on how they're going to pay their bills.
Yeah.
And it's
numerous people like that. And
yeah.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate situation. We've got a few more minutes, and then because we make these a little bit shorter. So some of the effect of COVID when it's come to, we've talked about the Zoom side of it, and how that has become a tool to use. The area in which I wanted to kind of touch base on is depending upon which, there's been numerous government programs that have been available, some with grants, some with loans, what have you. And there's been a series of different COVID-related financing things out there that have been based on if you have been able to, for the use of paying rent or paying for your business space. specifically the PPP.
Right.
There was at one time there was 25% that could have been put towards the rent of your space. And then
which you have until tomorrow to apply for.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you actually, if you have a small bank, a local bank or a bank you work with, you could still apply for it tomorrow and probably have a check by the 1st, because small banks can whip through this super fast if you're a big customer. But there's been some different things with this. As you know, at one time it was like, okay, so the home seemed to have a home office could have had some really financial attractive parts to it. But as we've been looking at some of these loan things that have come through and some of the grants things, Minnesota right now has a grant program up there up to $10,000 for small businesses. But one of the things that kicks you out of this grant is if you're a home-based business.
Okay.
It takes you out. So,
but the PPP, if memory serves, as long as you're using 25% of it toward business expenses, and you're okay. And as long as you're carving out 25% of your home as a business office and 25% of your cell phone or whatever, you could probably very easily make that argument and use that toward your mortgage or your rent or whatever. But I'm sorry, I just wanted to...
You're exactly right. Exactly right. And the biggest downfall with the PPP side of it was that when as a small entrepreneur or small business person, a sole proprietor who did a Schedule C, the way the numbers came through and the way they utilized the numbers made it so that the home office thing was not part of your income to a point. So you can't, it's just how the numbers worked out that that would have been something that it would have helped you with more money from that available for that. Because of having a home office, there's some parts of it that weren't as attractive for you or weren't as beneficial for you.
Right.
And that's the way it's been with some of this. So it's one of those things that, there's the positives for it. If you're going to be striving to run a diverse entertainment company, an office space might work out. If you need the storage, an office space might work out. If you're a single up and all you're going to do is you're a one photo booth company and you're going to spend most of your time selling it digitally and not really meeting with people, maybe an office doesn't make a sense for you.
Or if you do want to be able to physically leave your home, even if your wife works full time and you get the kids off to school, if you want to physically go somewhere, again, I'm all for like going to the library to study, going to an art class to focus on art. If you go into an office building and you go into a shared office space, you know that you have one purpose for being there. And that's it. So I think part of it's the mental aspect of it as well.
Yeah, and for some people, they would need to be able to get away because, as you mentioned earlier, I'm not washing clothes. I'm not filling the dishwasher. I'm not, starting supper, whatever, and all these other little distractions. If you're that type of person, it's a lot easier to admit that and say, hey, I need to do this to make myself more productive than to find out the hard way that, oh, wow, it's Friday and I haven't gotten anything done on my business, but I've got all this other stuff that I've been doing. Look at this puzzle I put together. Yeah.
No, I get it. I think we react to our environment. I read more on a plane than I do anywhere else because I have no distractions other than downloading Netflix onto my phone or the length of the flight if there's a movie on it. Other than that, I'll find myself reading that book I've been putting off forever.
Yeah.
So I know that Mike Walter is a big fan of reading at the beach. Like he gets up early, heads out there, and that's that. So again, you create the environment that you want to work in, and as long as it's productive and you're making money, then you're doing the right thing.
That's probably the best way to say it is if you're making money, then you're doing it right. So Casey, thanks for coming on and chatting about your experience with the office side of things. I appreciate that tremendously.
My pleasure.
And thank you guys for being with us tonight.